Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. Search Sessions is a bi-weekly show we're hosting during the pandemic to help businesses and our community best position themselves for success during and after the crisis. We host this every other Wednesday at 11 a.m. Mountain and bring on industry experts and thought leaders to provide business advice and guidance during these times. This week, we have a power-packed SEO show for you today. We'll be covering your SEO reopening checklist and discussing 3 essential strategies for optimizing your business online. We have 2 of Boostability's top SEO experts on hand to take us through an SEO quick course today. Sam Kroupa is Boostability's SEO strategist. Sam works on a variety of SEO projects for the company, including testing, recording new SEO processes, monitoring Google algorithm updates, auditing client websites and data, and much, much more. Sam, thanks so much for being here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
It's going to be a good show. Mike Marsh is Boostability's SEO manager, and Mike is the SEO manager here on our marketing team. His experience in the digital marketing realm spans over 8 years, from email marketing management to extensive link building management and a huge specialty focus on SEO. Mike is in charge of Boostability's organic lead channel and SEO strategy implementation. Mike, thank you for being here today.
Thanks. It's always great. Always great to be here at Search Sessions.
Always great to have you. And I'm Amanda Price, VP of Marketing here at Boostability and your host. So let's get started. Today's agenda, we're going to be covering the 3 essential strategies for optimizing your business online. We'll start with introductions and then jump into your SEO reopening checklist. We're going to start with rich results optimizations, jump into Google My Business utilizations, and then educational content and promotion strategies. We're going to wrap up with some great SEO resources that are there to help you, and then dive into a Q&A. So if you have questions throughout this panel, please drop them into the Q&A section, and Christine Pratt, our amazing show producer and head of content here at Boostability, will queue them up, and then we will get to them during the Q&A section. And then tune in next time. We have an amazing show. We're having a global panel on digital marketing strategies and customer success stories from around the globe. We have Cinda from the European Union, Sexion Amaria from Mexico, and Always Innovative from Africa. And I'll be diving deeper into that and our special thought leaders from each company at the end of this presentation. All right, so let's jump in. Boostability is the global leader in small business and partner-focused white label SEO. We offer affordable SEO specifically designed to meet the needs of small to medium-sized businesses. And our proprietary technology launchpad tracks over 2.3 million keyword rankings per month, which enables us to make SEO decisions based on millions of bits of information. Not only that, but we serve customers and partners all around the world. We're in 15 countries, 9 languages, and are quickly expanding. We get 86% of our customers on the first page of Google within 6 months and got 69,000 keywords on page 1 in Google in 2019. Boostability is dedicated to helping small businesses succeed online. So today's topic, we're going to be covering your SEO reopening checklist. We're going to dive into rich result optimizations, Google My Business, and then educational content promotion. And as I mentioned before, wrap it up with SEO resources. So Mike and Sam, we're so excited to have you here today to educate us on all these great strategies. Over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Amanda. Sam and I have done a lot of research. We've compiled a lot of great information. So hopefully we've got it in a nice, readable, understandable format, which I believe we do. But if you do have any questions, go to the Q&A, ask questions. We'll have a bunch of time afterwards where we're going to go through them specifically. This list here, this checklist that we were having it's a great starting point. It's a great jumping board for a lot of SMBs that want to get into that SEO mindset, or that maybe have neglected SEO for the past 3 or 4 months, and so they're ready to hop back in. And this is a great way to get started. And so what we want to do is we want to first off go through some rich results. The first question that goes through is, what are rich results? And we'll give you a little refresher really quick. And then we're going to go into some specific strategy of how you can land these specific rich results, like those types of pieces. The first one that we have, so rich results. It's essentially a SERP that includes any type of styling that's used to highlight key information. So for example, you have these people always ask, that's technically a rich result. You have these reviews that you're seeing here. And you also have different reviews with all of this kind of rich information. So it's a SERP that just looks slightly different. We've all seen it, and this is the overall encompassing. It's called rich results by Google. So that's what it's called, and that's what all of them are called.
And Mike, these are things that businesses can focus on to optimize their presence online, right? Like, so when people go on Google, if you have rich results and your business is optimized, you get more real estate basically on Google because you show up, whether it's like the star rating, or if you have, this great preview on the right screen for To Kill a Mockingbird.
Mm-hmm. It's like, it kind of draws the eye. So like back in the day, back in like early 2000s, we were used to just a regular text SERP, right? One that we just saw links, it was blue, clicked on it, got purple, or what have you. It was just that kind of text. And then Google started implementing these different rich results where it was kind of interacting more with the SERP. And so you saw this initially in the star rating. And then they slowly added the people always ask, where you can click on that and get even more. And so it's really just highlighting those pieces. And so if you land one of these rich results, like you said, it can very much highlight your business. And so
I would assume you get higher click-through rates too.
Yeah, there's a lot of data that goes into landing these rich results. You're getting that really high intent searcher. And so if they're clicking on that, they want to know a lot more about that subject. They want to really dive in, and you have the higher possibility of landing a conversion on that, whether that be through a sale or a subscribe or what have you. It's definitely good for an SMB, good for any business to aim for these rich results and then to optimize in such a way where they can easily appear for them, for sure. I would agree. To kind of delve into specific rich results, the next one that we look at is featured snippets. Now, featured snippets come in 3 different formats. They come in a paragraph format, a list format, or a table format. And it's most often, this word, featured snippet, is most synonymous with the position 0 that you hear. So I'm sure that if you're listening, you've probably heard of position 0. This is the one that's most synonymous. So you've got the featured snippet. It almost always appears on the top. Sometimes there's an ad right above it, but it's almost always just on the very top of the SERP. If you rank for a featured snippet, Google actually doesn't allow you to rank for like another organic, and that's relatively recent. You can't have another link on that SERP. But being highlighted in this manner, just like we talked about, is super important, and the positives super outweigh any potential negatives. Where there's some discussion as far as, if you're in position 0, does Google take your traffic because you're just resolving the search intent on the SERP and you're not clicking into the website? The people that are clicking in, again, have that higher search intent, that more probability of actually subscribing, actually converting. And so ranking for them, the positives super outweigh. It's not even a question in my book as far as you want to rank for these position 0 featured snippets.
Yeah, and Mike, to add to that, you hit it right on the head, but it also adds an element of authority when people see your website showing up in that position 0, providing the information they're looking for. Even if they don't click on your site right away, they're going to know in the back of your mind that this person or this website is an authority on the information I'm seeking. Yeah. And they're more likely to remember to go back to them in the future.
Yeah, that type of brand recognition. I know that if I'm at work or I'm searching different SEO tactics or different SEO things, you recognize over time, if you're doing the same type of search, you go, oh, they're ranking for a bunch of featured snippets. And so you kind of do a little research, and I've done it, and I've looked and I've been like, what are they doing to rank for those featured snippets. And that's what we're going to get into later, is some of that research. But you kind of get that brand awareness, and you see that for sure.
Yeah, I love the authority part. Not only do people in the top positions get, of course, the most clicks, but I really like that authority part. It's kind of like the new PR. Back in the day, you'd want to get, in a magazine or something like this. Now you want to be at the top of Google. Like if you're at the top of Google, that's the best PR you could have for your company. You are an authority in the space on that topic. So I love that point.
For sure.
Great. And also, Mike, I just wanted to add, you had mentioned that Google recently changed, like when you show up in a featured snippet, you're no longer in the organic results. I just wanted to let people know that change actually happened in January. So it is pretty new.
Super recent.
Very recent. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay, the next one that we have are carousels. So this is a type of rich result that you see on specific searches when it's typically for like books or recipes, where you're seeing a different carousel where you can move to the left and the right. And there's also movies and different things. This is more predominant in a specific type of niche, with like the recipes, the books, the news, that kind of stuff. But that's what this is called a carousel that you see here, these three examples.
So basically, if you're a business that has great visuals that represent your company, this is a great opportunity that you want to optimize for, because look how visual that is.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes you want to click, especially on a recipe, or if you're a restaurant, or an interior design store, or you're like, we have a lot of people that are resorts in different places. You want to entice them with this beautiful photography and make sure that's optimized.
Oh, yeah.
And when people are searching on Google.
Yeah, for this one, it's very, very image-based, like you mentioned. And so making sure that your image is optimized as far as high quality, but still very fast, is very important with these carousels. The last one that we have here, as far as explaining what rich results are the article rich results. These are ones that you can see, and currently right now you can see it if you actually Google. One of the biggest updates to SERPs with a lot of rich results is the actually COVID-19 search, where you see it's essentially 7 different SERPs in one. And they have an aggregate where you can click on the left and it's news, and it has all of these types of like information where you have these news, sports, blog articles. And so it's, again, the imagery associated with it, and then also the title with the name of the business, name of the site. So it's, again, it goes into a lot of the image optimization and doing that with the headline text that's kind of snappy. With that, but this is the type of rich result that you can see in SERPs as well. Okay, so a little bit of refresher on what rich results are. You see those different things, you see the position zero, see featured snippets. Now you ask yourself, what can you do? Let's get into the strategy. So a lot of this has to do with a content philosophy that I like to think of. What you want to do is you want to ask and answer common questions that your customers have on your website. And you can put that on an FAQ page, you can put that in a blog post, or you can even do it in Google My Business with the Q&A feature that they have there. With this, that philosophy is you're thinking about, this is the question. So a featured snippet is typically like an answer to a question. So you're thinking about, this is a question that I've answered dozens of times in my store or in my place of business. And now I'm going to put it in text format. I'm going to put it somewhere where Google can then crawl it and potentially give me that ranking and a rich snippet. So it's that kind of strategy, that philosophy that you really have to consider in all of your content. And honestly, it goes into a lot of SEO strategy where in the past, and Colton and I and Sam and I have talked about this a little bit, where it's not necessarily getting away from keywords, but you're getting into more of like a phrase. Google's getting smarter. With the BERT update, you're having a conversation with the SERP. So you really have to think of those long questions and then answer them concisely.
I've seen a lot of featured snippets be, so yeah, let's say it's a phrase like, where are the best places to go in Italy? and then it'll be someone's site who has like a listicle that tells you all the different places to go in Italy and then why, and then that will get featured in the featured snippet. So yeah, answering that question, but not just focusing on just a keyword, but a phrase, and then having authoritative content that is really helpful so that it can come up in the SERP and you'll land that rich snippet.
Yeah, that's one thing that you're doing. If you want, this is again the philosophy. You're asking the question, you're answering that common question, but what you want to do is you also want to Google that question. I mean, that sounds very simple, but you want to look at what the results are already serving out.
Yeah.
Because in some instances, you're like, okay, well, I want a rich snippet on this specific SERP. If Google's not already serving a rich snippet, they might in the future. But what you want to do is you want to kind of strategize on the ones that are already showing a featured snippet. So what you're doing, and we'll get into this a little bit more, is you're Googling that search, you're Googling that kind of question, you're seeing what the results already are, and you're comparing to where you're at currently. With your content, what you want to do, and how do I put this? It's essentially like if you're not already in the top 10 spot, you need to do your SEO groundwork. You need to get in that top 10 spot, because if you're not in that top 10 spot, you're not going to get that rich snippet. That's like the consensus around the SEO realm, is you need to already be ranking for that keyword or that term or that SERP specifically. And then you can kind of modify your content to really concisely answer that question. So what I recommend is putting it in an H2, putting it even if it's in the title already or in the H1, and then answering it immediately after very concisely, and then doing the content where you're expanding on that answer a little bit. You're kind of validating that answer. So that's kind of how you you imagine that content.
I love that you brought that up, that you can't just like jump to having a snippet. You need to do the initial SEO groundwork first to, have your site have authority and be ranking. That's really good.
Yeah. I mean, you hear a lot of it with the evergreen content, right? You hear that this kind of content strategy, evergreen content doesn't just happen. You have to plan for it, right? Yeah. You can't just be like, oh, this one's going to be good forever and I never have to reevaluate my content. You really have to go through, look at those pieces that you're already ranking for. See if they're, again, check the SERP, see if there's a rich result on there. Okay, you're not ranking for that rich result, but you're ranking for that term. Okay, how can I reevaluate this piece to then potentially push that whoever's in that rich result out and put me in there? And so that's why I put answer these 5 W's in this 1 H, like do the who, where, when, what, why, and how, and have that kind of mindset when you're creating titles, when you're thinking of content, and you're really just answering all those questions. Again, it can go back into Google's algorithm where it's getting smarter, right? It's got that natural language processing with BERT last October. It's got that kind of conversational tone to it. You're thinking of voice search. You're thinking of smart home devices that are in everywhere. And so you're really tailoring your content to that kind of search result.
And what is the, so talk to us about the Majestic Meet GMB Q&A feature you're showing over here.
Yeah, so this right here, when it's the kind of idea where if you're in GMB and you're using that Q&A feature, you should ask the questions and you should answer the questions in a lot of instances. If it's those common questions, you have an FAQ page maybe already, and so you're answering it there. You should transcribe that FAQ page over to your Google My Business so it also appears in your Google My Business card. And we'll get into a little bit of the strategy as far as that's concerned with the GMB section. But yeah, like it's make sure that you're taking advantage of all these features, and we really want to show how the rich results, the GMB, and then the content promotion, how those three are all so tied together. And this is one example of you're using that kind of conversational queries and you're transcribing it over into Google My Business.
Great stuff, Mike. I just wanted to add that really this kind of content strategy, paying attention to answering the common questions in a concise way, is really just an excellent strategy you should be employing throughout all the content on your website where possible. Because thinking back to what websites are able to be landed in featured snippets, well, they're the ones that have great content that are answering the questions people are looking for. So even if your goal isn't to rank for any specific featured snippet, which it should be for some, as we've been talking about, just organizing your content on your website in this manner will make your website an excellent resource for everything you offer, product or service-wise, which then can help you land those featured snippets. So I definitely recommend incorporating this strategy wherever possible as far as your content goes.
And on the next slide, what I wanted to do is I wanted to kind of show the mindset that you can be in, where you're doing this research. You're, number one, identifying keyword potential. You're looking at that SERP. You're seeing if it's serving up a rich snippet. If it is, okay, then my strategy changes. Or like you mentioned, Sam, it should be the same. It should be like, let's kind of change our mindset over to this question answer kind of format. Then again, are you ranking in the top 10 for search? Got to do that. And then again, when you do that, have that concise answer. So Google, if they see it, they can kind of go through there and they can just pump out that 50 to 60 word answer in the paragraph featured snippet. The next one is you could potentially include microdata for Google. So there's actually been a lot of studies done as far as including microdata, and does microdata actually affect rich snippets or featured snippets? In some instances it does. And for some rich snippets, it really does. Like with the reviews.
What microdata is for the audience?
Yes. The microdata is essentially, it's little tiny markups, very similar to HTML. Where you have the H1, the H2, if you're familiar with that, and just formatting content that way. The schema markup it goes into more detail. It identifies entities, and then it shows the relationship that those entities have with one another. So for example, you can have a review of you say a review of a business, and this business is this, and this is the star rating of that review and the business, and this is the text that's associated with that review. So it's the data that really identifies what's going on in the content, and so it talks to Google a lot more clearly than just basic HTML. So Google doesn't have to use their algorithm as much. You're just telling the algorithm, this is what this is.
Awesome.
So again, microdata, schema.org, it works for some. Rich snippets where you have the reviews, you have the articles, potentially local business with video, different things. But for others, what I've seen, so like for featured snippets and the paragraph featured snippets, I've seen that pages that have no microdata rank for featured snippets all the time. And it comes because of this conversational tone. It comes because you're answering that question concisely, and then Google sees that. And when you actually click on the featured snippet, it'll highlight what it's pulling, and it'll take you directly to the part of the article with that specifically. And they're always like adding those little features and not telling us about it, but they're adding those features and putting it in there. So it's a great way. Like I mentioned, microdata works for some, doesn't work for all. And then the last one is you always want to be tracking and testing. So it kind of goes back to the whole research phase, and it brings us all the way around where you're seeing that you already rank for these things, you're tweaking your content, you're waiting a few weeks, you're seeing what Google, like, okay, is it going to serve up my answer as opposed to this other answer? And you're tweaking. And so you're always tracking. SEMrush, Ahrefs, and MozPro, they all have different tracking for featured snippets specifically. And so that's what I definitely recommend. If you want to track and test that way, do it that way. If you want to do it manually, you can also do it manually for sure.
Yeah, and to add to this, you'll notice clearly that this is a circle, meaning once you finish step 5, you should keep repeating the process over and over. Just staying on top of what is being in featured snippets and how you can target those yourself. And so just keep repeating the process over and over to ensure you're getting as big a reach as possible across all potential featured snippets.
I think that's such a good point, because that's something fundamentally people need to understand about SEO and Google is Google's constantly updating their platform because they want to deliver the best experience to customers. They want to match your intent with the right search results. They do something like over 500 different algorithm updates during a year. So that's monthly updates happening all the time. And so SEO is not like a just, set it and forget it. You need to constantly be investing in the channel and updating it and improving your site. And if you do, you get rewarded richly. And you can land all these amazing opportunities, but don't just do it once and then you get the rich snippet and then you go, sit back and sit pretty, because you keep turning and you can get turned out.
Yeah. If you're stagnant in SEO, there's going to be a time when you're losing your ranking because your competitors are going to come up on you. They're doing the work. You've got to be doing the work as well. And Google's always modifying. They want the fresh content. They want the content that's giving the right answer. So if you're not providing that fresh content, you're not reevaluating your own and maybe updating it. You've got to always be on top of it for sure. We've gone over a lot of information as far as like featured snippets, microdata. If you want to know more, actually myself and one of the team leads over in fulfillment did a featured snippets webinar. And you can go onto our YouTube channel. You can check it out. We go into a lot of technical detail as far as why featured snippets, why microdata came to be. And that was when a lot of people were correlating microdata with featured snippets. And so a lot of that is like, okay, this is how you can implement it. This is how you do it, and that kind of thing. So definitely check it out. We're going to have links in the resource page at the end, and we'll talk a little bit more about it. But let's get into the next one. Okay, so Google My Business utilization. What we want to talk about here is we want to talk about the best things that you should be doing with your GMB profile, how to use it really correctly, and how to really set up just that killer profile that is just optimized in such a way that you're really partnering it with your SEO and your organic channel. Because when somebody's Googling your business, the first thing that pops up is the Google My Business tab on the right. And so you want to make sure that the information there is correct. You want to make sure that the information that you have, that you're providing for all of your clientele is attractive and that it's really bringing in those views. So let's go into what Google says about Google My Business. They mentioned that their local SEO strategy is really revolving around 3 different things. They say that it's relevance, distance, and prominence. What essentially that means is it refers, relevance first off, refers to how well your local listing matches what someone is searching for. So if they're doing a branded search, you're almost always going to get what you're looking for. But you're adding completed, detailed business information to Google so that Google better understands your business and matches your listing with those searches. So it's that kind of relevance. The distance goes into kind of the geolocation where the individual is searching. So because it's a local SEO strategy, distance is very important. So if I'm across the street from a restaurant and I Google, where's this restaurant, which maybe you'll do, I don't know, then you'll most likely get what that close result. It'll give you the closest results because it's taking that geolocation into account. The last one is prominence, where it's very similar to a lot of different SEO strategies. It's essentially how well known your business is. Think of reviews, think of how much content you put out, think of how much people are talking about you by the water cooler kind of thing. So it's that kind of prominence in Google's eyes. So you have relevance, distance, and prominence with a local SEO strategy. So you need those 3 things, and Google provides that with Google My Business. So
yeah, and if you want to understand how important having your Google My Business optimized is, just look at this picture on the screen. So the left rail are all the organic search results. This right rail here for Majestic Me is its Google My Business profile, right? And look at how much real estate that takes up on the SERP. So you gotta optimize for that.
Yeah, it's a lot of real estate. It's a lot, and it should be something that you're, again, consistently, you're not stagnant on it. You're proactive about your GMB profile, and so that's why it's so important.
And Mike, all this list here is like an example of all the things you can update on it, right? Can you kind of take us through that?
Yeah, for sure. The operating information, it's essentially when your business hours are, if you're taking holidays, what time you're open, that kind of stuff. The photos, you can upload your photo, you can upload your logo, you can upload a lot of attractive imagery in here that really represents what you're doing as a business. And I know that Sam, he has a lot of experience with Google My Business, and you have some experience with the photos, correct?
Correct. You know, a lot of questions I would get over the years from small business owners and business owners in general are, well, what kind of photos should I be putting on my Google My Business profile? Well, you should definitely include your logo. You want a picture of your storefront from the street. And the reason for that is when people are driving down the street, maybe trying to find your business, if they can see what it looks like on Google My Business already, they're going to have a much easier time of finding you and coming in. Some other great ones to include are just photos of what the inside of your business looks like, as well as featuring your main products and services for them to see.
And yeah, and when we think about, you know, reopening your business right now during COVID-19, which is extending, it's so important that you have all your updated information here. If you're a restaurant or anything that can offer curbside, put that down. What are your hours? What are your safe business practices? You also can do so many things here, like encourage your customers to leave a review. They show up on your GMB profile. Mm-hmm. So when you're reopening, like it's kind of a little bit the wild, wild west again, in that, you know, everyone is reevaluating what businesses they want to spend their money with and what businesses they want to go to. One of the biggest things you want to do is communicate your safe commerce practices, your hours, make sure that your phone number is updated so someone can call you. So many more people are ordering on the phone or ordering online, so make sure they can get in touch with you. So do not ignore this opportunity. Make sure that you're optimizing for it and building it out. So businesses that have like really robust GMBs, you can have gorgeous long profiles on the SERP that has so much rich information on it. Yeah. So, you know, push yourself to do step one, claim it, and like, you know, get all your information right. And then step two is like, make sure to optimize it and add photos and get reviews and like all this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause there's tons of functionality that Google provides for this local SEO strategy. Yeah. And I know that we mentioned in the past, Amanda, where and I like how you mentioned, it was essentially the safe business practices. Yeah. Customers want to work with businesses that they feel safe with, especially now with tumultuous, like with virus scares and different things. You want to make sure that you're really conveying that imagery of like, hey, I'm safe, I'm clean, it's safe to come in. These are the things that we're doing. And you can do that with your images. You can do that with a lot of different things, with different content that you're putting out, with different reviews that you're receiving, or different things like that, for sure. You can do that through Google My Business. The other things that you can do is also different customer interaction. We mentioned in the past the Q&A. Ask questions on the Google My Business, and then answer them yourself, so you don't have to kind of shoot in the dark kind of thing. Like I mentioned, combine your FAQ, just transcribe it over to your Google My Business. Technically, Google My Business allows you to build a website. So if you don't already have a website and you just have a Google My Business, you can build one with Google My Business. That's an opportunity. It is very, very free, and it's very, very simple, but it is available for those businesses that don't have a website and they want one.
It is a great free resource. I would just add that if you're serious about your online presence and wanting to push out into the online world, I definitely recommend having a professional website made, just stressing the free part of the Google My Business website.
Yeah.
Yes, free is not always the best option.
Yeah. I thought it was so interesting that they provided that, but it was like, when I heard about that, I was like, really? I wonder if anyone's built that. And then when I was talking to Sam, he was like, yeah, I've seen them and they're very free. And I was like, oh, okay. That makes sense. Again, we've talked about the location, but what we want to do for this point right here where it says physical location versus service area, what we're talking about is if you are like you have a physical location, make sure that you include your address. But if you're like a go in service, like an electrician or a plumber or an individual who has a service area, include your service area in there. It has both locations where you can include a physical location or a service area. So make sure that you're identifying that. So Google, again, it goes into that distance where you have to tell Google where you're at so that they have that local SEO strategy to bounce off of your GMB. You also want to make sure that you're consistent across your search results and your map results with your GMB profile, because search results come from one algorithm and then your local map pack and your map results come from a different algorithm. So making sure that you're consistent on both of those results, where your contact page is consistent with your GMB page, that's the easiest way to think about that, is just make sure that you're consistent on both your site and on Google My Business.
Yeah, and to expand on that a little, meaning like your business name on your website is an exact match, character for character, for your Google My Business profile, along with like your address, phone number, email address, etc. Because even slight differences in those, like maybe you just leave off the company or the LLC or something like that, can cause a little bit of distrust on Google's end, and even in people searching for you. If they see your business represented one way here and it's slightly different somewhere else, there may be a little bit of doubt that it's the same business. So just ensuring that you're completely consistent across the board with your business name, address, phone number, all your contact information will do wonders for you.
Yeah, and that goes into like the next slide of how do you do it? How do you verify?
How do you do it?
It's not that easy, right?
Right. Well, I mean, it is easy to verify.
It takes time.
So in the next one, we talk about controlling your brand. There is a difference between just having a GMB, like there is one for you potentially because people have left reviews on Google and different things, and then actually verifying your business as you're the owner of the business, right? Mm-hmm. So what you do is you go onto your Google My Business or the profile that's set up for you, and you claim your business. And you can do that either through getting a postcard to your physical location or just by getting a call from Google. But
you have to know that it doesn't happen instantly. There is like this time lag.
Yeah.
Understand that about the process. And that's what I mean. It's not like that easy.
Oh.
It is easy, but it doesn't happen right away. You have to go through these like verification steps.
Yes.
I think a lot of people don't know.
Yeah. And it's a lot of it goes into, you want to control your brand. You want to control the narrative that's there. And so verifying your Google My Business is very important. With that comes the description. So you want to make sure that you're describing your business and your business practices on Google My Business correctly. There's
your website. I can't tell you how many like enterprise brands websites I go to. I used to be a publicist, and I try and find their boilerplate, and it's impossible to find. I have to find a press release to try and get it, and then it's like so ambiguous. It doesn't explain what they are really. So be concise. Like figure out, how do you explain your business in an elevator pitch? Make sure that's on GMB and make sure that's on your website, and then you can expand on it. But be clear and concise. Don't be ambiguous. That doesn't do you any good.
Yeah, and what Google recommends specifically is that it's engaging, authentic, and that it shouldn't reference things like specific sales, like if you're doing a sale or something along like those lines, or promotions. It's just, this is what the business is, and this is what it does. Kind of thing. The image that we have over here on the right is to kind of juxtapose a little bit. We've been talking a lot about local strategies, right? Where we have that relevance, that prominence, and that distance. This is an example of a national brand where the information that's being pulled on this knowledge card on the right in the highlighted area is being pulled from, this one's being pulled from Wikipedia, but in instances, those knowledge cards are only being pulled from a verified GMB. So it's pulling directly. I've seen where it's descriptions pulled directly from GMB, and the knowledge card over there on the right provides that information. But again, it only comes from a verified. So that's just kind of another incentive to definitely verify your business and to provide that narrative and control that brand.
Right. It's not only for local businesses. If you're a national business and think, oh, well, I don't have to worry about this right here is why you should still focus on the GMB.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like it's definitely, it leverages a lot of local instances, well, for a lot of SMBs, but yeah, definitely want to make sure that even national businesses. For the local strategy though, there is a little bit of a tidbit where in the description, you would want to include a geolocation. You'd want to include just 1 or 2 keywords that builds on that description. So you're this business in this city, you'd include that city within the description, just so it's more of a reinforce of that again, the distance moniker. But yeah, verifying, definitely worth your time. The next one that we have is category optimization. So we talked a lot about the description and that kind of stuff, but the categories, when you're selecting your category, Google allows you to select up 10 categories for your business, but Google has almost 4,000 different categories from you to choose from on Google My Business. So you want to make sure that you're picking the category that best describes you and your business. And if you're not finding an exact match, you want to just pull back one level and just be like, okay, I am this kind of thing as your primary category. What I recommend and what I've seen is that you stick between 2 and 3 categories. Don't go the full 10 categories, because the more you have, the more like you want to really narrow it down for Google. It becomes more ambiguous and you're like, well, these are all of the categories that I am. Really just narrow it down 1 or 2, 3 at most, I would say. Just keep it at that. You can see on the right where the categories are, where this is Whiskey Street, it's a cocktail bar, or Deer Valley Resort, it's a hotel kind of thing. You see, these are both examples of GMBs, but they're slightly different. With the category, whenever you're selecting, Google My Business is trying to provide special features that make sense for you, right? So for restaurants, you're allowed to add URLs specifically to your menu. You can also have other categories where you're categorizing or listing out all your services or your food items. You can actually transcribe your entire menu on Google My Business. Hotels have their class ratings, and then there also is the Book Now feature for a lot of other categories where it's like directly connected to your Google Calendar, and you can actually schedule out. Like if you're a hair salon or something, you can schedule out on your Google Calendar. So it comes into, like, when you're doing the categories, make sure that you're being smart about it and that you're not going overboard, because there can be an over optimization instance here.
Yeah, it's basically muddying the waters. If you're selecting 10 categories, well, 10 categories aren't going to perfectly describe your business, and then it's adding more ambiguity to what you actually do. So just stick with 1 to 3, as Mike said. That's the best strategy.
Yeah. All right. The last one that we have here is the educational content and promotion. So what I wanted to pose here is essentially the idea that how you create content that can be educational or that can potentially rank, and then how you can then utilize promotion to really influence the SEO channel and the organic channel. So we're going to go through some ideas of how you can create, what you can do. And again, think back to the featured snippet. Think back to that kind of question answer, that kind of philosophy. That's how this is all combined. You're using the question answer that you thought about for Google, that you have an FAQ page. But what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're adding this content to your website, that it's on your blog, and it's updated and you're promoted through the GMB posts, or you're doing it through different social media or link building opportunities. We want to get into how you can do those things specifically. So,
like if you want to be an authority on Google, if you want to rank high, then you need to be an authority in your space through all these different channels. So write educational authoritative content, and then, as Mike said, put it all over all your different digital channels, and use things like social media to like boost that and syndicate it. And all these signals are telling Google that you are an authority, and that your content is authentic. And the more people that are coming to your site and clicking on these links is also telling Google that you're an authority. So you want to leverage all these channels.
Yeah, and you want to talk like you're an authority, you want to write like you're an authority, because in a lot of instances, like you're a business and you specialize in a specific thing. Maybe it's not content writing, but you can dictate to someone and they can write a piece for you. It needs to be your voice. It needs to have that authority where you're like, this is something that I'm providing. This is something that my clients need to know, or that my competitors need to know, or something. Like it could be anything along those lines.
And there's so many businesses that think, like, if you're a plumber, what content can I write? Oh my goodness, everyone wants to know, like, how do you change a P-trap? Like, what happens if my sink is leaking? If you have something to talk about, there's someone who wants to hear it. And so, you're in business for a reason, to help people and provide a service and to create content around that. It's just such a great thing to do, and it's fun, and then it's engaging, and it helps you rank, and then it helps you also have things to share and talk about to keep you kind of relevant, going back to the importance of staying relevant.
Yeah. And again, you want to put this on your website. So for example, we have a lot of glossaries. We have, for example, over here on the right, a glossary of social media terms. We're going to be pumping out a great glossary with a lot of SEO terms. So we can we want to go through and just really provide a lot of value there. So think about, in your industry, think about what kind of terms that you're using that are unfamiliar to your clients. And so think of a glossary, think of or something along those lines. Again, back to the FAQ page, you're asked questions probably every single day. Provide those answers, put it in a text format, put it in a video format, put it in any format you'd like, put it on your site, that kind of thing. Or you have a robust blog post that's, again, answering these questions and talking in that conversational tone. You want to make sure that, again, you're going in and you're regularly updating that content with new information as it becomes known, or to reflect current times. You don't want to be stagnant. You want to make sure that you're always updating your information. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're republishing a blog post, but you're just refreshing that blog post. In a lot of instances, you have two mediocre blog posts, or you have two mediocre pieces of content. If you just combine them together, you have a fantastic piece of content. And so look for those opportunities on your site where you're like, okay, I have these two 400, 500 word blog posts, but they're not really ranking. Let's see if we can combine them together, because they're both talking about very similar things. You actually see a lot of quality content in the SEO realm where individuals have done that specifically. So those are kind of the ideas as far as creating that educational content. We talked a little bit about those different formats, and we'll get into other specific formats. But once you have that piece and you put it on your site, you can expand your reach with co-marketing. What is co-marketing? Like, that might be that you might have that question. It's essentially, it's the idea of the camaraderie. It's using other channels or already created channels to promote your own pieces.
Yeah, partner up with another brand. So on a past search sessions, it was showing how I think it was, I don't remember what it was, like an automotive repair shop partnered up with a local coffee shop, and you could go in and they were both co-promoting a promotion. So the coffee shop was telling all their audience about it. The automotive repair company was telling their audience about it. And when you go in and get something done, you get like a free cup of coffee and different things like this. But co-marketing is amazing, because then you get access to another company's network and sphere of influence. And so that's a huge thing to do. And that kind of goes into influencer marketing. You see Rand Fishkin at the bottom here. He's so famous for, all his whiteboard videos. Create like a content series and then partner with like an influencer marketer, have them on the show, or, just find different ways to outreach to them, see if they'll retweet you or something like this to expand your reach.
Yeah, definitely look within your marketplace, look and see if there's already influencers. If there's not, maybe there's an opportunity for you to become an influencer and to really create that content. Or if there's local industry experts. So there's a lot of times in industries where it's like, this person's been doing this for 40 years. Go and talk to them, write a piece about it, and really just get involved with your community, get involved with your marketplace, and then provide that content online, because that's the interesting things that get promoted on Google for sure.
Yeah, and that goes into how you can leverage social media to help boost all this stuff.
Yeah, so making sure that any content that you put out is always syndicated on social media profiles. That's a very common practice. It's kind of a no-brainer, but really taking your time to look and see how that connects to your organic reach and how that can really promote your own SEO profile is really important. So you're utilizing the social media, you're finding these message boards, you're finding these instances where people are asking these questions and you're providing that answer. You're in there and you're inserting your voice. You can do this by looking in different platforms. One of the ones that's kind of up and coming, not really up and coming, it's very out there, is Quora, where it's a specific question answer kind of format where you can, if you just go onto Quora and you look for these questions, you can provide the answer, you can become that authority. There's also a different strategy as far as you have a piece, you have either a glossary or an FAQ, or you have a really good ranking piece. Try to think if there's a different type of medium that might capture more of that audience, where you're converting that blog post over into a video, or you're doing it into a PDF or a white paper and you're sending it out in an email, or you're providing it in a slide deck presentation so people can look at it in this format. There's just a lot of different formats that you can do to reach different types of audiences. And being involved with experts, you want to really be a thought leader, and this is kind of how you do it.
Awesome. So glad you have email marketing here, because people don't think of email and SEO, but you can do a lot with email. Definitely.
And again, it goes into the interconnectivity of all of these things. It's the question answer, it's that kind of philosophy. But what you want to be doing, if you're not already gathering emails, you need to start gathering emails, but you can have a lot of different lists, right? The basics of email marketing are you have different funnels, you have different lists where the different interest levels and the different types of content are served up to each of those lists. So what you're doing is you're promoting the content that you either already have ranking or that you want to rank or want to get indexed quickly by putting eyes on it. And this is so important from okay, we're talking about different things you can do to help reopen your business. Mm-hmm. Do a blog post about your reopening strategy, send it out in your email newsletter. Here's an example. We sent out this one on our Boost newsletter. We got over 1,000 clicks, and that is people coming back to our website. And that helps that post climb the rankings. It makes you more relevant. And so use email marketing to direct a bunch of people to your site frequently by providing valuable information that helps them so that they're learning and you are improving your SEO along the way. Yeah, because it's directly influencing those ranking factors, right, as far as the dwell time, the traffic visits, the potentially the bounce rate. So if you have something set up where you're like, this is a great post, I need to think of how people are going to use my site once they get to this post. And you're thinking along those lines of this is the conversation that I'm having with this individual. You're linking out to other posts on your site. Yeah. You're linking out to other places. So it's that internal, it's a whole strategy that you have to really be considering with your website.
Yeah, and make sure it's good content, like you mentioned, because the dwell time, these are SEO factors and signals that you're giving Google. So make sure that it is great content so people get to your site and they stay.
Definitely.
But I love this because a lot of people don't think of how could email marketing improve my SEO? It really can.
Yeah.
And the next one is link building, right? So it's it's all connected.
Yeah. And so, for example, what we have here is an example of when a company reached out to Boostability and to us, me and Amanda specifically, and they said, hey, we've featured you on our site here. This is the information that we have. We found a post that really is connected with this. And so why don't you give us a link here? And because we've given you a link here, we'll give you a do follow link kind of thing. And so it's taking the link building opportunities and not just looking at it from a traditional guest posting where you're providing content for other people just so they give you a link. It's really looking at that co-marketing opportunity, but then expanding it into an SEO realm and saying, this is going to be a link that we can that we can exchange a little link juice with each other.
And I think link building is really intimidating to a lot of people, and we understand why. I mean, it's something you got to get out there and do stuff, right? You have to write good content, and then you need to look on other people's sites, and then you need to see if your content would be relevant to them. And this is why we do this for you at Boostability, because it is a lot of work, but you can do these things. But it takes time, and you need to do your research. You need to find out what sites would connect to my type of content, who would want to repost my stuff, who can I build a relationship with. It takes time. You need to know your space, you need to know your audience, you need to know other people out there that are doing it, but then you got to put in the work and you got to do it, but don't be scared of it. Or if you are, then hire someone like Boostability who can do it for you.
Yeah, because it definitely does take
it takes time. But it's so powerful. It's so important. It's like one of the most important things in SEO.
Definitely. The last point that we have here is just using your paid advertising to promote organic channels. Again, you've created this content, you have this piece, this glossary, this thing that's ranking. You want to use your paid advertising to promote organic channels and to, again, pull that traffic. It's very similar to the email marketing, just in a paid way, where you're utilizing either Facebook ads or Twitter ads or Google ads or Reddit ads or LinkedIn ads, all these different things. As long as you're doing the research, you're finding an audience, you say, okay, I think that I can, if I spend X, I can get something back here. Whether it's a conversion or just organic traffic, you have to look at that as a win too. You have to look at the SEO impact of using paid advertising, not just for conversions, but for that brand awareness and for those ranking signals back to your site.
Awesome. And before we move on, because we're going to jump into resources next, Sam, do you have anything else you want to add on link building?
I would just stress, as you two already did, how important it is. Like, yes, you can make your site awesome with excellent content, but without the link building backing it up and pushing it out there so other people can find it and get back to your site, it's going to be a little bit neutered. So taking into account everything we've talked about today and working with all of them together is how you're going to see the most benefit for yourself.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
The next page that we have is the SEO resources. So what I've done is we went through, this is the Featured Snippets webinar. I've included some of these Google My Business, the different posts that we have that really emphasize these points a little bit more, maybe in a different way. You can definitely take your time to read. I think that there's great information there that you can kind of expand on these other 2 points. But yeah, thanks so much.
Yeah, and we're going to have on our search sessions page, we'll send out an email tomorrow with this recording, and then you can click through to that, and then we'll have all of these links on that page. So just one click and we'll get you there. But amazing content here. Take a time, watch the Featured Snippet webinar, take a look at these posts. It's a lot of really in-depth SEO knowledge put into all this. So now we're going to dive into the Q&A section. We've got some amazing questions coming through. I'm going to pass the mic over to Christine Pratt, our head of content and our show producer, who's going to take us through these fantastic questions we've been getting.
Thanks, Amanda, and thanks to Mike and Sam. We have a lot of really good questions that have come through, so I'm going to try to knock through as many as possible in the time we have left. So first one is, what kind of rich results do you recommend? Is there one that is better than another?
I think from my perspective and from my experience with rich results, you see most often the featured snippet, where it's the paragraph featured snippet or the list featured snippet, because those are the most common that I've seen. I would say that those are the ones to kind of look out for. If you're thinking of it as like the carousel, there's a bunch of different options, and you're only appearing once. If you're on the top and you're the featured snippet, where you have that paragraph that's from a blog of yours or a list that's from a blog of yours, that's kind of the one that I would think that would be the most beneficial from my perspective. Do you agree, Sam?
Yeah, I would totally agree with you. And just in my experience, looking over clients we've done SEO for, the ones that have those featured snippets and are actually showing up there are doing awesome compared to some of the other rich results that are available.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, next question is kind of also the rich results area, asking how do you feel about FAQ sections and the accordion style? Do they help you land a featured snippet? Do they help your SEO? Can you tell us about that?
So
So,
oh yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I would say when possible, try and avoid the accordion style. It's going to be more beneficial if people are landing on your page and able to see the full question and full answer right there without having to click through and expand each one of the different sections. Google is still able to crawl all the content in an accordion style, but I personally think, and I've seen, it'd be more beneficial for clients to have it all laid out and visible from the get-go. Mike, do you have anything?
Mike, isn't there some websites, the way they do the accordion actually blocks Google's ability to crawl? Like if you have like some piece of code, I don't remember what it was. We talked about this a couple months ago.
Yeah, we have, Amanda. There is some instances that I've noticed with accordion style where Google isn't able to get everything. Like it gets to like the first accordion and it says, okay, this is what this page is, and then just stops. But to Sam's point as well, there are some instances where accordion does work, like Google's able to crawl it, but sometimes it's not. It depends on the CSS and what you have actually implemented in there. If it's very CSS heavy, Google gets kind of confused and goes, no, I'm done with this page. Like I get the premise behind it, and it just takes off.
And this is a good thing to think about as a marketer or an owner of your business or managing clients, is, the UI UX aesthetic versus like the SEO optimization. You need to blend them, but SEO optimization is going to be the most important, because if you can get them on page one, they're going to get more organic leads, which is the highest converting lead possible. So I think if you're trying to make a decision, should I do an accordion or not? Don't, unless you have a really good web guy who's like, don't worry, it's totally optimized. Google can see everything. You just got to be a little bit careful there.
Yeah, and you want to verify. Like it goes into the testing and the tweaking, and like if you try an accordion first and you see, oh, okay, this isn't ranking, this isn't doing as nicely as I'd like, let's switch it over. So to Sam's point, where it's like just show up all those, just have all that text available. And already popped out for sure.
Yeah, play it safe. If you're not sure, just play it safe and don't do the accordion style.
Yeah, we're actually about to launch a brand new website. Stay tuned. It's going to be awesome. And we're totally changing some of the stuff because we had, from years ago, some old accordion stuff on, and we're ripping that out. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Great. Here's another one. I'll direct this directly to Sam. It's a GMB, and I know you focus on that, but he's asking about some of the specific features, specifically popular times. How do you update that on GMB?
So the popular times actually is information coming from Google itself. It's not really something you can put into your profile and optimize for. It's really Google tracking when certain people are entering your business using cell phone data. So it's something Google will add in automatically. And so what you can do on your end to help it get there is make sure your profile is claimed. Make sure you have all the information filled out as best as you can. And then that's something that'll be added over time once they get enough data.
Great.
Is there a feature you can say, like, track this for me? Or just kind of, once your profile's there, it'll start populating once you've had enough people coming in and out of the store?
That's an excellent question. I'm not honestly sure if there's an opt-in that you have to click for. Mike, are you aware of the feature?
I believe that, like you said, it's an automatic phone feature where it would be just aggregated over time. Once it has enough data, then it'll update with that phone data, as long as you have foot traffic in and out of your business. I haven't seen an opt-in feature for it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it as either that I remember. So to do your part, just make sure your business is claimed and verified, and fill out the rest of the information as much as you can. And then Google will add it once they have aggregated enough data.
Awesome.
Great. Thanks, guys. Couple more here. And we've got a lot of questions that are still coming in. If we don't get time to answer, we will reach out after the show. So you will get your question answered. Don't worry. But just a couple more right now. Here's the next one is, can you put schema markup on every page of your website? Or does it matter? Are there certain pages that you should optimize over others?
I'll take that. I don't recommend putting schema on every single page because it's not necessary. What I would do is Homepage for sure. You want to identify as a local business. If you're a local business, you want to kind of identify your entity, include your logo, that kind of thing. So Google can really identify you. And then your contact page, where you're including the information, you're including your location. And that's, again, this is a very local strategy where you're including that. And so Google really recognizes you as an entity. This is where this entity is. So those are the two pages that I would say for sure. There also are, like, if you want to increase your EAT score, which is, it's kind of an ambiguous score. Sometimes people view it as like not an actual, and EAT is the expertise, authority, and trustworthiness. You could include author pages or author schema on all of your articles, because it would build your author credibility technically, but that's still unconfirmed as of right now. So I would recommend not necessarily posting schema on every single page, because it could be time intensive if you're not using a plugin. Just focus on the pages that definitely need it, as far as the home page and the contact page for starters. Anything to add?
Yeah, Sam, do you have anything else?
Oh, I was just going to say, yeah, it's a whole lot of work trying to do it for your whole website with not that much benefit, except for the pages that really need it, like Mike said. So
Yeah.
spare yourself some extra work without really seeing much from it.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, I'm going to ask one more and then send it back to you, Amanda. So this last one is, we've talked a lot about like brick and mortar locations, or, businesses with an actual physical space. This person's asking if he doesn't have a consumer facing business, like he's more of a B2B or working with other agencies, which of these recommendations would you still, or would still apply?
So pretty much everything would still apply. You would just want, for your GMB profile specifically, you would want to use not a brick and mortar location, but use a service area instead of the area that you're able to help those customers or working with those other businesses. Did that answer the question?
Yeah. Mike,
Okay.
do you have anything else?
I think that it also kind of goes maybe potentially into the either the category optimization or the description optimization, where you're describing your, this is a B2B company. So you're saying this is specifically who we service, and you're saying that in the description. So that's potentially the possibility of somebody reading that and then Google actually crawling that. I don't know that they would recognize it as like an entity, and this is like, okay, this is the business and this is another business. Like, I would say it would kind of go into the category and that, as well as, like Sam said, with the other optimizations. But for the B2B, it would be description, I would say. Make sure that it's in there.
With that, Amanda, I'll send it back to you.
Great. Thanks so much. All right, guys. So thanks so much. Let me talk about our show next week. So tune in next week on Wednesday, July 22nd at 11 a.m. Mountain Time. We are hosting an incredible global panel with some of the top thought leaders from around the world. We're going to be discussing digital marketing strategies, SEO strategies, and customer success stories from around the globe during COVID-19. Don't miss this incredible show. We have Kimberly Lewis, the general manager and board member for Cinda. Cinda is the leading European association for agencies, brands, and technology companies and professionals in local search, digital advertising, and more. We have Miguel Angel Vives Garcia, head of product development at Sección Amarilla. Sección Amarilla is the top yellow pages and digital marketing services company in Mexico for small businesses. And we have Byron Morgas, the CEO of Always Innovative, which is one of the top digital marketing agencies in Africa. It's going to be fantastic. And Always Innovative is focused on improving the online presence for SMBs. So tune in. It's going to be amazing. And then, as always, if you guys need help with your SEO, Boostability is here to help. Reach out to us at boostability.com or give us a call at the number below. And then you can RCP for the next search session or watch this one again at boostability.com/search-sessions. Thanks so much for coming, and we'll see you in a week and a half. Take care.